Okay. So I'm so sorry for missing last week. We had a little bit of drama here at the stables, but we are back this week and we are continuing on with The Unicorn's Secret, Moonsilver by Kathleen Duey. And this week we start with chapter 3. Heart was used to getting up in the dark. She always struck a spark and made a little fire for Simon's barley water. This morning she started the fire, then tiptoed outside. The moon sailed silent overhead. The river's quiet voice came up the grassy hill. Heart peered into the dusk toward the makeshift corral. The mare was lying down. Her white coat shone in the moonlight. Heart's bare feet made almost no sound in the deep dust of Crooked Lane. She ran uphill, grateful to see the bright speck of Ruth Oak's lantern shining through her window. Ruth stayed up late. She also rose early. She was Ash Grove's only healer. There was always so much for her to do. Heart hurried up the curving path, the scents of Ruth's herb gardens tickling at her nose. Heart could see Ruth through the window and knocked quietly. "Yes?" Ruth called. "Come in." Heart pushed on the door. The light from the lantern made her blink. "Child," Ruth said, "and why are you at my door so early?" Heart explained about the mare. Ruth tipped her head and listened. "A scarred forehead?" she asked when Heart was finished. Heart sighed. "Yes, but that's all but healed. It's the wound on her leg that worries me." "Let's go see," Ruth said, slinging her worn leather herb bag over her shoulder. She picked up her lantern, then headed for the door. "Simon won't pay anything." Ruth looked back, smiling. "And when did he ever pay me?" Heart shrugged uneasy. "I'll do chores, I'll work, and when did you ever not pay me in some way?" Ruth asked, starting off, quickly settling into her long stride walk. Heart ran to catch up. The mare was standing when Ruth ducked through the fence. "Oh my," she said quietly. "Is it that bad?" Heart whispered. Ruth didn't answer. She placed one hand on the mare's withers and spoke to her in a quiet, soothing, sing-song voice. "Hold the lantern," she said after a moment. Heart held the light steady and high, wincing when she saw the wound on the mare's leg clearly. It was deeper than she had thought. "Fresh water," Ruth said, straightening. "We'll wash the road dust out of it, then seal it with meadow sweet salve." Heart ran for the well. The bucket was heavy, but Ruth took it in one hand and tipped it to pour water slowly over the wound. Twice she stopped to dab at the cut with clean cloths from her bag. The mare stood still, her head high. "Will it heal?" Heart asked, biting at her lip. Ruth nodded. "Yes, another scar. But the lameness is just that it hurts her. The tendons aren't cut." Heart exhaled. "I want to keep her. Simon wants to sell her to the knacker, but..." Ruth straightened and turned abruptly. "You can't let him." Heart nodded. "I know. I love her already. She is the sweetest mare." Heart's words were cut off at the sound of the door banging open. "Girl!" "Her name is Heart Avamere," Ruth called out. "Not girl." "Did she tell you I won't pay a penny?" Simon groused. Ruth laughed. "She did. The shock of it nearly killed me, Simon." He growled something and went back inside. "I'd better go cut grass for the mare," Heart said, looking at the horizon. "Sunup is coming, and we have another field to glean today." Ruth reached out suddenly and touched Heart's face. "You are a good-hearted child." Heart smiled, wishing, as she had 1,000 times, that Ruth had been the one to find her in the river instead of Simon. Owing her life to old Simon was a misery. Owing Ruth Oakes would have been a joy. Ruth stepped back. "Starting tomorrow, walk her just a bit. Go a little farther each day. It'll make her eat, and keep her leg from stiffening. I will, Hart promised. Ruth handed her the pot of salve. Twice a day, nice and thick. Hart nodded, glancing at the door. I had better go cut grass. Ruth patted her arm. Don't let that old man work you so hard. Chapter 4. No one in Ash Grove noticed the white mare. Hart was careful. She cut grass before dawn, hidden by the mist that rose from the Blue River. She walked the mare only at dusk and always led her south, away from town. To the south, the land was too dry and rocky to plow. No one farmed it. No one lived there. People often came to Ruth Oak's home, seeking her help, but no one walked 2 extra miles down the road to the end of Crooked Lane. Adults had no business with Simon. He shouted and threw rocks at children who came too close, so they almost never did. Ready? Hart said to the mare every evening, and every evening the mare tossed her mane and whickered quietly. Ruth had given Hart a soft rope of woven flax. Hart had made it into a knotted halter. The mare didn't like it, Hart could tell, but she allowed it. Day by day, the mare's limp faded, the cut closed, and was healing well. The heavy bundles of grass Hart brought were working magic. The mare gained weight. Her flesh smoothed over the bony ridges of her ribs. She stood with her head held high. Hart found apples that had rolled beyond the fences around Lord Dunraven's orchard. All the village children hunted these apples. Hart went before first light. Twice she had to run from boys who wanted to steal the one she'd found. Both times they had given up before the turnoff onto Crooked Lane. None of them wanted to be seen by Ruth Oakes, or to... What's that? Seen by Ruth Oakes, or to cross old Simon's path. The horse is looking grand, Simon said one evening. His voice startled Hart into whirling around. I didn't hear you coming. Simon nodded. You were too busy talking to the mare. He shook his head, laughing, then ran one hand through his stubby gray hair. We can sell her soon. You've got her fat enough for any knacker. In another month or 2, you could sell her as a saddle horse, Hart said quickly. Simon stroked his chin with one hand. Is she still limping? A little, Hart fibbed. The mare hadn't limped for more than 2 weeks. You think she's strong enough to bear a rider? Not yet, Hart said, pretending to consider the question. But soon, I think. But that scar ruins her looks, Simon said, shaking his head. What gentleman would want such an ugly saddle mare? Hart frowned at him. She isn't ugly. Lower your voice, Simon scolded. Hart looked at her feet. Making Simon angry was foolish. I'm sorry, she said. Simon puffed out his cheeks. Well then. Keep feeding it, he said, jabbing one finger at the mare. If no one else wants it, the knacker will. I thought maybe... Hart began, then stopped. Thought what? Simon asked. Maybe I could find an old plow. We could find work. We? Simon repeated. You mean you and the horse? Hart nodded. Simon laughed, then spat. Plowmen are men, he scoffed. Hart stood tall. I could plow? Simon laughed. You couldn't. It takes weight and strength. Hart felt the mare tug her sleeve, nibbling at the ragged cloth. Hart glanced at the sky. The sun was setting. I need to take her out to walk. That where you go every evening after supper? Hart nodded. Ruth Oakes said I should. That old faker, Simon said. Her herbs aren't worth half a penny. He headed back towards the house. Hart waited until she heard the door slam. Then she let out a long sigh. I will think of something, she told the mare, turning back. Maybe we can get a hold of an old cart somehow. Would you pull a cart? The mare shook her mane. Hart smiled, then lowered it when the mare seemed to understand her. We could carry messages. They say there's a man in Dairytown who carries letters for the merchants and nobles there. The mare shook her mane again, snorting. Hart frowned. If we can earn a few pennies, Simon will let me keep you. The mare lifted her head and flared her nostrils. Hart pulled the halter down from its peg. The mare lowered her head as Hart slid it over her ears. They passed Ruth Oakes's place and turned south as always. Out on River Road, the mare kept a good pace. As usual, she walked alongside Hart, not behind her. The road was quiet. The air smelled of clean, fresh sage. The sounds and smells of town did not carry this far. Hart glanced at the mare. She had never seen anyone but Dunraven's men or nobles, like Tim Blackaby riding, and then only from a distance. She wanted to learn how. Abruptly, the mare leapt sideways, wrenching hard at the halter. Hart wasn't expecting it. She lost her grip as the mare sprang into a canter. Hart stood, stunned, as the mare galloped away. Then she lunged after the horse, knowing it was useless. Aching inside, her eyes filled with tears. Hart ran on and on down the dusky road. The mare was a blurred speck of white in the dusk. Finally, when Hart could run no more, she stumbled to a stop. She bent over, gasping for breath. In the distance, the muffled clatter of hooves had faded into silence. The mare was gone. Hart felt sick. How could she have been so careless? She trembled, still dragging in long breaths. Someone else would find the mare, or wolves would. Hart looked back toward Simon's shack. In the deepening dusk, it looked smaller and sadder than ever. Hart stared at it. Simon would be furious. Ruth Oakes would be disappointed in her. But that wasn't what hurt. Now there'd be no reason to wake up excited. She would no longer have to get up early to cut grass and hunt extra apples or hurry home. The loneliness, as sharp as thorns, grew inside Hart. It filled her, and she closed her eyes. She was startled by a sudden cadence of distant hoofbeats. She caught her breath and opened her eyes, staring into the murky dusk. Finally, she saw a blur of white. The mare was galloping back towards her. Astonished, Hart set her feet wide, ready to lunge for the halter. But there was no need. The mare dropped back to a canter, then a trot. She kept coming, her neck arched, breathing hard from the long gallop. Hart felt joy rising inside her. The mare looked grand indeed, trotting closer. She was stout now, her sides filled in, even swollen. Hart narrowed her eyes. There was something heavy in the mare's gait. Not the limp. That was gone. This was something different. The mare stopped, standing so close that Hart simply lifted one hand to take hold of the halter. The dusk around them had deepened. They stood in near darkness. So close, Hart felt the warmth from the mare's run seeping into the chilly air. The mare pushed her muzzle into Hart's chest, blowing out deep breaths. Keeping hold of the halter, Hart slid one hand over the mare's side. The tiniest flutter of movement beneath the white coat made Hart step back, blinking. "You're in foal," she breathed. The mare shook her mane and started off to the west. The sky was pink and orange now, the clouds colored like fire. Hart pressed her palm against the white flank. The movement didn't return, but the fullness was unmistakable. Hart smiled. The mare was going to have a baby. Simon couldn't sell her now. Not to the knacker or anyone else. He wouldn't. All he had to do was wait. 2 horses would be worth more than 1. Hart put her arms around the mare's neck and began to cry. Thank you for listening to this week's installment of Reading with the Horses, The Unicorn's Secret, Moonsilver, by Kathleen Duey. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to doing another episode next week. Thank you, and have a blessed week. Bye now.